Hey y'all, we like to welcome you guys to Good Brothers Talking Michigan Sports. We've actually changed our name, which was currently Brothers Talking Sports, but now it's Good Brothers Talking Sports. We just Lord put on our heart to change up things a little bit, so this is where we are. We just want to welcome all the viewers. We just thank you for taking time out to spend a little time with us here in the D. So basically, we're going to talk about the Army game and some of our pros and cons.
Pros and cons. Lot of cons, a few pros. So let's get started. Greg, let's just give me your overview of the Army game.
My overview of the Army game is pretty sloppy. Michigan being this hype team throughout the summer, and it was just sloppy, a lot of miscues. Actually, I only saw two pros out of the offense. One was we won the game.
Okay.
and two, we actually found a running back who can carry the ball exclusively. He was able to block and he got 100 yards. So I thought that was a pro out of the game, but a lot of miscues, a lot of fumbles, some things that we dealt with in the Middle Tennessee game. And I thought maybe we would have cleaned some of those things up, but unfortunately we haven't. I think one of the things that's really bothering Shea is that his left tackle, the starting left tackle, who has not played in the game at all, John Runyon, and I think out of those 5 or 6 sacks or whatnot, 2 or 3 of them was due to the fact that John Runyon wasn't there. And I'm hearing now that he's supposed to be back for the Wisconsin game. I'm thinking Shea's going to be extremely happy about that, because I think what happens too is your quarterback tend to get happy feet, starts to think too much about that attack coming on him, and tends to think too much. Doesn't throw the ball as fast as he should. Remember, this is an offense where you make a quick decision and you throw the ball, you get rid of the ball really quick. And Shea just hasn't been doing that. Also, I'm hearing that he's got some type of injury. So, you got that. I don't want to sit here and make excuses. They looked really, really bad, and they got to clean it up. So
my overview was it was an ugly game. But you have to win those ugly games. It was a battle test, and though the game didn't chart a lot of stats offensively or defensively, nobody stood out offensively, nobody really stood out defensively. You have to have those games. I think Michigan is battle tested. I was at the game and just seeing, the guys happy. A win is a win, and sometimes you have to win those ugly games. And to win a national championship, you're going to need some luck. You're going to need to win some tight games. You're going to need to endure when the offense isn't clicking. The defense is going to need to step up, and I think they did just that. It was a challenge. It was ugly, but we won. So, and for me, that's the biggest thing. A win is a win. We're 2-0. We dropped in the rankings from 7 to 10, but who cares about ranking? Right. We're just trying to win, and we're trying to win games.
Yeah, so. Who cares about preseason rankings and the beginning of the season rankings, which doesn't mean anything. Okay. So, you learn from your mistakes. You continue to win this game. People will forget about.
So, as you know, Greg covers the offense. I pretty much covered defense. So I'm going to ask Greg a couple questions about that offense. First question, flat out, what's up with the offense? To me, it looks like same offense that I kind of saw last year. They don't huddle as much, but, they ran the ball a lot. And, just what's up with the offense, man?
Well, I think you saw a difference between game 1 and game 2. Mm-hmm. Michigan did some of the things that they talked about in regards to speed and space the first game, Middle Tennessee.
I did see that.
I think some things changed, or the offensive coordinator had to make some decisions due to the fact that we still were having fumbles, we were having miscues, running backs wasn't making the correct blocks. You got two freshman tackles out there. They were making some mistakes. So I think Michigan, the second half of the game went very conservative. And I think they went very conservative because what they did is they wanted to beat Army at their own game. And I know people like, what? Why do you want to beat Army at their own game? Well, Army needs to have possession. They need to have time to really score. They need to have time. And not having that time, they have to resort in doing things that they're not accustomed to doing. Okay? So I think what Josh Gaddis and Jim probably decided is, hey, let's run the ball more. Let's make sure if Army gets the ball back, they will not have enough time to do what they do best, and that's grind it out. Use all 4 downs to get that 100 yards, to either get that field goal or to get that touchdown. And I think that was effective. It was scary at times, but I think it was effective because as we will talk about more, Army started to do some things that they just weren't characteristic of actually doing. So I think that's what you actually saw. And I think, like I was said before, you didn't have John Ray in there, who was your left tackle, or pro left tackle, whatever you want to call him. He wasn't there. So I think Michigan had to be a little creative with their offense.
Okay. Second question, Shea or Dylan? Again, I was at the game, and I'm hearing people in the stands like, put in McCaffrey, saying that Shea wasn't getting it done. A lot of overthrows. They were saying he was throwing the ball hard on short passes, which made the receivers had to make adjustments, early on. So what's your take on that, man?
Here we go again. And then 30 years ago, 20 years ago, whatever it is, Brady or Henson. We want Brady. We want Henson. Michigan fans need to calm down. These are preseason games. To me, these are preseason games. And it's a blessing to win them. You know what I'm saying? So calm down. You won the game. Go back. Correct your miscues. See what's wrong with Shea. Because obviously there's something wrong. I read in a couple articles that he's dealing with an oblique issue. And also, like I said, typically when you don't have the right people or you don't have the people that you're familiar with, like a John Runyon, you tend to have happy feet, and if you throw in and you got an oblique injury or whatnot, it is going to affect your throws or whatnot. But I think people just need to calm down. Don't get me wrong. I think Dylan's a great quarterback. I think he is the future, as well as Milton, and he's going to have his challenges with Milton because I think Milton is pretty good too. But I think people just need to calm down. I think once they figure out what's actually wrong with our quarterback, Patterson, and if he does have an injury, I think once they figure that out and he heals and he's got a couple weeks, I think everything is going to be okay. But don't start this, Brady, Henson, Patterson, McCaffrey. Everything's going to be all right. Michigan's just got to clean up some stuff. And also, you got to remember, you got a first-year offensive coordinator. So he's understanding now that it's more than just writing notes. It's a lot to do with, okay, can I make this play? Can I do this? Okay, I've got this defense throwing this at me. I've got to make a change. I've got to do some different things. And I think we saw a little bit of that. Even though the Michigan fans were not happy with going more to a run-based game, I think it was effective. I think it was effective in the sense that it created less time for Army.
I like that point because I was at the game and I noticed that, I'm like, dude, why are you running the ball? We only got 3 yards on the last 3 possessions, rushing the ball. And so I was getting frustrated. But now looking at it from that point, run the ball, let's eat up the time of possession so they will have less time. And if you looked at the time of possession, that was about equal. Now, next question. So you have this issue nowadays with the transfer portal where you have these 5-star elite recruits coming in to these big-time programs wanting to play immediately. Do you think, Dylan McCaffrey is a candidate to say, hey, I'm going to jump and go to the portal because I'm not getting more time? Or do you think he'll wait to be the man next year? What are your thoughts on that? Do you think they need to give him playing time so that he's not looking to transfer and go somewhere and get more playing time? What are your thoughts on
Well,
that?
I think it's good that they're actually giving him time. I just don't think that they're doing it at the right time. I think if you're going to bring Dylan in, you've got to be quick with it. I think you've got to know the play right off the cuff, so that the defense don't see him out there and they throw him out there and then everybody's looking to the side for the play. I think you've messed everything up at that point in time. Be a little more, have some discretion about it.
Smooth transition.
Smooth transition. Know what you're doing, and then kind of go from there. But Dylan already said that he's content with coming in.
Okay.
I think they need to do Milton like that too, because I think Milton's got a lot of potential, and I think you need to get him in the game as well. If you're going to do that, McCaffrey, do it with Milton too. But I think I do agree that they do need to bring him in the game, but just be more effective with it. A lot of times when he come in the game, I think it
disrupts the rhythm.
It disrupts the rhythm, and I think it slows things down. So they need to be a little more creative with it when he comes in. Make it seem like a mystery, and kind of go from there. But I do think that they should do that because that portal thing is affecting a lot of teams, not only Michigan.
Yeah, a lot of teams. All right, last question for you, G. The fans were booing the offense, and I can't remember the last time I was at Michigan or watched the game and the fans were booing. This is big blue country, and to hear booing at home, it was disheartening for me to actually see that and hear that. So, what are your thoughts on that?
Well, I think it's valid. I mean, we talked about bringing Josh Gaddis in, and they talked about how great practices have been and things of that nature. So there's an expectancy there. And unfortunately, we just haven't seen it on the field. You hear about all this, saving the playbook for the Big Ten and things of that nature. But, you got to show the people more than what you've been showing them. Now, granted, me personally, I would never schedule Army again or Navy. Those teams are just a little different in how they do things and how disciplined they are. So, granted, I do think it will help the defense, because they'll see a lot and being battle tested, even the offense. But I think you just got to be careful with these teams. They bring a lot more to the table. You see like teams playing Howard University and, some of these teams you never even heard of. But, it lets them, throw all their plays out there and really practice on some of the things that they've been doing in the summertime. And to me, this game doesn't give Michigan an opportunity to actually practice some of the things that they want to carry on to the Big Ten season. As you saw, we had to win with a field goal. And, boy, I was a little nervous. But, hey, we're 2-0. So you can't complain. Can't complain.
Got the win.
Got the win.
Moving on to the defense. They had Army had 4 pass plays, 20-something rushing plays. They had 200 yards rushing, 43 yards passing. This gave the defense an opportunity, I believe, to prepare for Wisconsin. Wisconsin typically leads the nation in rushing attempts and rushing yards. So having a game like Army before the Wisconsin game, before the start of the Big Ten season, it tested our defense big time. The game was Army makes few mistakes. I noticed on first down they averaged about 4 to 5 yards, which means they only have 5 yards to go with 3 attempts. They went for it on fourth down often, and there was one time they actually had a holding penalty, which was rare, which pushed them back. And now they had 20-something yards to go for a first down on the first down, and they didn't get it. They got their average 11 yards and ended up having to punt. So they don't make a lot of mistakes, which meant we had to be disciplined. We typically talk about an impact player of the game. I give the impact player of the game to the entire defense because, again, nobody stood out, but everybody collectively did what they had to do. The leading tackler was Brad Hawkins, a defensive back, and that's never good when your defensive back lead the team in tackles. So that meant that the runner got past the defensive line and the linebackers. But Army is well disciplined. They know their blocking assignments. They did a lot of chop blocking and things like that, like you said, which is legal. But again, I think this game prepared us for Wisconsin. I'm glad we won. The defense did their thing. They stepped up when they had to, especially in overtime. So I was extremely I was pleased or content with the defense, even though everybody knew Army was running, but it's so hard to stop.
Yeah, it's so hard to stop the triple option. One thing I noticed, Michigan started off in the base 4-3, and then they went to a 3-3-5, and Michigan played small. So what that means is a lot of their defensive ends actually played defensive tackle positions. Mm-hmm. So I thought that was key in regards to always keeping those players fresh. They had them in and out. One thing you notice too is Michigan did not have any defensive tackles in the game. I didn't see Dunford play today, and I didn't see Peters play in the Army game. But I think that's good for Wisconsin because one, that's something that you don't see on tape. So
and they're coming back next. They're coming back.
They'll be playing at the Wisconsin game, which I read or whatnot, and I think that would be good because they don't have them on tape in regards to the 2 games that they've already played.
How they play.
So they'll be able to meet up the line with those big bodies in there, and then those guys had time to rest as well. But you can see one thing that I noticed too about Michigan's defense is they are a lot quicker. Last year, you can kind of throw out a couple names with Bush and things of that nature in regards to the speed, but as a team, I actually think Michigan is a little faster.
They are, and that's been well documented. They've had players talk about how fast this team was. The strength and conditioning coach, they work on speed. So I think, again, as we stated last time, after the Ohio State and Florida game, that was one of the areas they wanted to improve was the speed of the defense.
Right. And I think Don Brown, I think he can be stubborn sometimes. I think he still has to, go to zone from time to time just to keep the offense honest. Mm-hmm. And I saw a little bit in that Army game, not as much as I would like. But I think he's learning his lesson. And I think, throughout the season, I think he's going to turn that switch and throw some zone in there. I think we'll see it in the Wisconsin game.
One saving grace was last year this Army team played Oklahoma. Now, Oklahoma had Kyler Murray, which was the Heisman Trophy winner, and Oklahoma went to the national college playoffs. This Army, that game last year, they took Oklahoma to overtime. And Oklahoma was able to overcome that and, again, produce a Heisman Trophy winner and a trip to the national playoffs. So I think, Michigan, that was, when I learned that helped me and gave me peace. Again, being at the game, I saw a few of the players afterwards, and, they had that same sentiment that, hey, a win is a win. It was ugly, but we won. And that's the most important thing. Too many times these teams blow out these preseason, or as you call them preseason, but these early games, and they win big. And then when they get into the Big Ten season and they get into challenging situations, they don't have anything to fall back on. They don't have any tests that they could look back on and say, hey, we overcome this situation. We've been here before, and we'll do it again. So I think I'm content, not happy, but content. So I think we'll be better. 2 weeks off. A lot of people coming back from injuries. Key starters, well prepared for Wisconsin. As you said, shore up some of those mistakes and so forth.
Yeah, they got a lot of work to do, but the good thing about it is they have time to do it. So. Hey guys, we're going to go ahead and end the show. We appreciate you guys. Hey, leave your 2 cents in the comment section. Don't forget to subscribe and also like. We appreciate you. Good Brothers out.
Good Brothers talking sports.